Welcome to What a Week, the podcast where we talk about the news that you should have gotten this week. I am James Messer. You're one of your hosts for this delightful podcast. And fortunately, I have with me the better host, the Judy Messer, who is my lovely co-host as well. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
And what a week it has been. This has been a pretty good week, actually, all things considered. I was here all week. Normally, I travel during the week. It's very unusual for me to be here. And I did a podcast this week. I was a host or guest on the Tight Wide Tech podcast. That was fun.
Yeah, that went really well.
Got to hang out with those guys for a while. From my perspective, though, we were talking earlier about things that we were talking about in the podcast, other types of topics that we discussed. There were topics last week we didn't talk about. Like last week, we didn't talk about cheese.
We totally missed the cheese.
Last week, we didn't talk about beer.
Yeah, we missed that too.
Why do I even have this podcast? Why am I even doing that if there's not going to be beer and there's not going to be cheese? But you, fortunately, have covered the bases.
I scoured the globe.
Thank goodness.
Had to find a good cheese story.
And you did, actually. I found it. You told me about it, and I found it. This is what, from NPR?
Mm-hmm.
So this what I like about this story is that it has both beer and cheese.
Right. Which I have not seen before. You always see wine and cheese, but that's so done.
Now, of course, the idea being here in the United States that apparently, and I just realized this yesterday, that there is a very large sporting event that is occurring this weekend called the Super Bowl. Let me look. Yes, that's the name, Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is the most watched event on American television by far. The commercials for the Super Bowl are amazingly expensive.
That's what I like. That's what I enjoy.
The commercial part?
Yes.
And that's one of those things where I don't necessarily watch a game. I've got other things going on, but it's nice that they have this event for the sporting people. And that's what this story was about. Like, you're going to drink beer this weekend because it's football, and you drink beer when you're watching football. So what wines? No, we'll throw the wines out. What cheeses and beer? So that is the mix.
That's right.
And it's nice they went through this. I looked at this story. There were some really interesting things in here. A nice comparison
There were
of
beers
of the
I'd never
piece.
heard about.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know a lot about beer, but there were some. I had to go look it up. Like, what is that?
Now I'm a beer snob, so I love getting the little beers, the handcrafted, the little small microbrewery beers.
I know, because I have to drive around town with
Yes.
you, going from store to store.
They don't
trying
have the
to find
Dogfish
them.
head. Look, here's one from. Well, we have to find the Magic Hat. And we go from place to place. Oh, here's a new one. Get some of those. Interestingly enough, Brooklyn Brewery. We just had a beer from Brooklyn Brewery here at the house, and they were commenting in here about the different beers and the different cheeses. And what's nice about this article, they actually lay them out: a Stilton blue cheese and an imperial stout. That's what you should have if you're going to grab a big stout Guinness-like beer. Go get some very strong cheeses to go with it. The other one I liked in here, I'm going to skip through the French goat cheese, the brown ales, sheep's milk cheese and brown ale.
See, don't you want some cheese now?
That is all good. And the one I like, the farmhouse cheddar and the IPA, which I thought was a good mix of different flavors. So, gosh, that's so nice of you
We have to do that.
to do.
We have to get all of those.
It's so great that you
And
brought
try them.
a story like that to the podcast, because I love the beer and I love the cheese. It's so nice it worked out that way. I, of course, brought a different story to the podcast.
All right,
this week.
let's hear yours.
Well, as you know, I'm a big animal lover. Not sure if you knew that.
Are you?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I feel like you just tolerate all the animals that I seem to bring
Oh,
into the
no,
house.
you could not be more mistaken.
Look, it's another dog.
I'm a huge animal lover. So, of course, when I saw that the Bronx Zoo was allowing us to name an animal, I was all over that. And
Oh, no.
You pay them a paltry amount. And you can name an animal that lives at the Bronx Zoo. So right now, at the Bronx Zoo, there is a Professor Messer and there is a Judy Messer at the Bronx Zoo.
Wait till you hear the animal that bears our name.
The
Tell them.
Now, there are 58,000 of these animals at the Bronx Zoo with this name, but I think it's important if you're naming a Madagascar hissing cockroach that there be some options available for you. So right now, isn't this awesome? A Professor Messer hissing cockroach.
For the record,
Yes?
I asked if a tiger was available. No tiger for us.
This
You know
is
what he said? No. We're getting a roach.
yes.
A roach, people.
This is something that the Wildlife Conservation Society is doing to raise money. I thought it was delightful, and they've paired it with Valentine's Day. What says Valentine's Day? What says hello, sweetheart, more than a Madagascar hissing cockroach?
Have I not left enough catalogs around the house with hints? Was there ever a photograph of a cockroach?
Perhaps if there was jewelry with the cockroach, it might be different, but there is not.
Oh, I'm going to bling mine out. I'm going to send a little outfit, some lip gloss.
For your little cockroach?
That's right.
Now, they do include the option to have also sent to you these little milk chocolate cockroaches. A chocolate that is in the style of a cockroach. This is not a chocolate covered. This is an actual solid milk chocolate cockroach that they are sending as well. So just a little bit of Valentine's chocolate to go along with my hissing cockroach.
Did you order that? I don't know if I'm down with eating a chocolate
Oh,
roach.
not only did I order it, but on our next What a Week podcast, the chocolate should be here, and we're going to eat the chocolate and let everybody know how it is right here on What a Week.
There better not be a crunchy surprise.
No,
in
there's
that
not.
Chocolate.
No.
It's going to be a bad Valentine's Day.
They call these cocoa roaches. Cocoa roaches.
Cocoa roaches.
Because they're chocolate.
I see.
So there you go. That's one of those things.
Well, it's a good cause.
It is a good cause.
I think it's great, but...
But...
Oh, is that them?
But what? That's them. These are the chocolate cockroaches. Yes.
Okay. Why are they all like different colors?
What are you talking about? That's the Madagascar hissing cockroach. That's
Is
what
that
they
the
look
chocolate
like.
or is that the roach?
That's the chocolate.
I don't know if I
They
can
had a
make that.
chocolatier come in and create these cockroaches and color them.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that awesome? Awesome.
Well, look, there's a shoe.
There
You
is a
could
shoe.
get me the chocolate shoe instead.
So there's your cockroach. And of course, you can, if we wanted to see them, and we should go visit, I think it's only appropriate we go see them at the Bronx Zoo. We can go check out the Madagascar hissing cockroaches.
And there they are.
There they are. That's so nice. It's just me. It's just a thought of love. Or it's me and you.
You know, I don't know what to think about the fact that there's a little girl roach out there with my
There
name.
is. Isn't that nice?
Maybe we'll do a show. Come on, roaches, gather around.
like a zoo, like
I'm gonna tell you
like
a story about some
circus.
cheese.
She's
Was it moldy?
she's got a little purse.
Definitely.
Very nice.
Mine is very fashionable.
Well, let's jump into some of the stories that I found for us this week. This first story, what a high score. These are the stories you should have gotten this week because I love this story. This is a story I long to be like. This is one of these things I found. This is Kathleen.
Oh my gosh.
Kathleen is 100 years old and she plays a Nintendo DS.
She is adorable.
She is awesome. Kathleen is fantastic. Let me pull up Kathleen's website here. We are the story on this website. This is from The Sun in the UK. She is obviously not from the United States because it's in The Sun here.
And she has a picture of the queen.
Oh, well, of course. You got to have a picture of the queen. There she is.
Oh, she is adorable.
And because I love the way the picture is designed, because perhaps the queen is watching her play
I
the
know.
DS.
That's what
Perhaps
it
the
kind of
queen-
looks like. She's over her shoulder. Do you notice she has a little pink stylus?
Oh, yes. She's very stylish.
I think that's great.
Looks like she's got the red model. That's nice. Little pink stylus. And her idea, of course, is that she's not going to knit. She's not going to play bingo. She plays Nintendo because it keeps her active. It keeps her mind thinking. She has 10 games.
Absolutely. No, it really does.
Brain Trainer, Scrabble. Oh, there's our Words with Friends link. Words with Friends link. I need some.
I should try to play her.
I need some stingers that can come up and say when we hit a Words with Friends link. Family Fortunes, Art Academy. So she's not necessarily doing the hand-eye coordination Super Mario stuff. She's doing the things that makes your mind think.
It makes you think. It exercises your brain.
That's really brilliant.
I really love her.
Isn't that awesome?
That's very inspiring.
Fantastic. Now, even worse, I mean, she's not of the best of health. Both of her legs have been amputated because of medical things that have happened.
Wow.
So she doesn't get around very well. She lives by herself. Friends call her Kit. And so she just hangs out and plays her Nintendo DS, which this is exactly what I would like to do when I grow up.
Yeah, keep yourself sharp. Absolutely. You keep living.
Is there some medical aspect to that? Is there something medically that if you do keep your mind going, it's better?
Well, you've heard the old saying, if you don't use it,
right.
you lose it.
Well, is there an actual medical thing associated with that? Or is it just one of these things that just seems obvious? Yes, you should.
There have really been a lot of studies out there. In fact, my cousin has a book, and I need to get it from her, about exercising your brain and keeping it sharp.
Really?
And it absolutely makes a difference as you get older. Yes.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
why do you think I'm doing the Words with Friends?
It's working for Kit.
Yeah, I think it does. It helps.
Very nice.
Keeps your mind sharp.
So I'm not sure if Nintendo was behind this little story that happened, but that was pretty awesome. I like that. So I'm planning to keep my World of Warcraft account going as long as humanly possible.
Oh, I see how that's going.
Hopefully until I hit 100.
Shopping is very mentally stimulating,
it
too.
is
You have
not.
to figure out the sale.
Hold on a second. Shopping is not mentally stimulating at all.
Gotta get the deal.
I'm not buying it. Not buying it. Our next story. What a painting. Now, we talked about this, and we're going to talk about something here a little bit that was actually very, very much in the news. We talked about this when we were traveling around yesterday, and normally we don't do the stories that are in the news. And we're not going to actually, but I thought it was interesting to bring up because the story that got out this week is there is this gentleman, an artist in San Francisco who did some murals early on for Facebook. And instead of paying him with real money, they paid him with stock options. And at the time, they were nothing. They were just getting going.
It's like paying him in gum.
But he's a well-established artist in San Francisco. This isn't a guy that came in with spray paint and go, okay, there you go. There's your stuff.
So he was already known at the time they approached him.
Already known, legit. His stuff's very interesting. They wanted something dynamic, but they were a small company with big ideas and didn't have a lot of cash on hand and said, here's some stock options. Well, of course, the big news over the last couple of weeks is that Facebook is planning their IPO. So now that stock will be worth quite a bit of money. They're estimating about $200 million.
I bet he is so happy.
It's not a bad
that
gig.
He made that deal.
Really. So that was what was in the news. Now, what I found was interesting in that story was that it turns out that was not the only person who had shares that were from Facebook that were doing something with this. There was a story also that came out this week. And there was a lady who and I think this was up the northern part of the United States. I need to read through the article. Wisconsin is where it was. She was doing some work in her house. She also was short of money. And this contractor came in, did about $18,000 worth of work. And she was able to pay him with Facebook shares as well with these stocks. So she was able to...
How did she get Facebook shares?
She had... taking an $18,000 worth of those shares and giving it to that particular contractor to take care of the things that she was happening in her house. So we see this also happening other places. Your skepticism is well placed, of course, because it turns out that
I smell a rat.
Absolutely fake shares. This lady figures, well, if some guy with a mural is selling his shares, I'll sell some shares. Except she doesn't own any shares. So I thought that was delightful. There she is.
Oh, there she is. She looks surprised to be there.
What?
You can't do that?
They're not real? Oh my gosh.
I printed them up myself.
You think about the story like, how could that happen? Then you see the picture. Then you realize, okay, I got it. Figured.
Did the contract smell a rat? The contractor? Was he...
Oh, yes. The contractor said, how is it you don't have $18,000 of real money and yet have all of these Facebook shares?
Right. There's a good question.
Very good question. So that is one of the ones that kind of slipped through the cracks. I don't think we're going to see the end of these little Facebook scams. I think there's going to be not only malware and security, PC type security things people will be clicking on to get their fair share of Facebook or to buy stock here, or people that are just scamming people out of money by using fake Facebook shares. It's crazy. But in the United States, especially in the Silicon Valley, we've not really had a very high profile IPO in quite some time. So
I think it's so exciting. I think it's great.
This is amazing for the industry. It's amazing for the economy.
And for that artist.
And for the real artist.
Single-handedly going to boost the economy wherever he lives.
And for the real artist who absolutely is probably going to upgrade his particular.
Can you imagine his studio?
That's a pretty good gig, actually. I'd be loving that. I could get new lights.
I know. If only you could have done something out there for Mr. Zuckerberg.
Well, I probably could have painted on the wall for him. Wouldn't have paid me very well, I assure you. The next story on our list, what a French fry.
I like where this is going.
Well, it's not what you think, actually.
Cheese, beer, and potatoes.
This was a disturbing story for me this week. This is a story that comes from France. This is from France, and there was a French court that said to Google, people are going on to Google and they can go to your maps. You ever see Google Maps?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, everyone in the world has seen Google Maps. And what the French folks said was that it's free to look at these maps.
Right.
Yeah, that's illegal. Sorry, you're going to have to pay us a lot of money. We're going to fine you for that. That's wrong. You can't put free stuff out there. There are people that are providing maps and it costs money. So because you're providing the maps for free, we think what you're doing is driving everybody else out of the business. And as soon as they're gone, you're going to start charging for these maps. Now, of course, Google's been doing this for 15 years now?
Right.
The idea behind this, and the idea that apparently some people can't get into their heads, is that you provide it for free so that you'll get eyeballs, so that people will look at advertising. Google is an advertising company, not a map providing company.
Right.
Well, the French court said, no, you are doing this and you are going to drive everyone out of the business.
Is that what they said?
Something like that.
Did they say it like that?
Just like that.
Did they twirl their mustache?
I didn't
when
have
they
a
said
mustache to twirl, but it was definitely something that was a little askew.
I would like to point something out to France.
Yes?
If nobody can find you, if they can't look at a map and see where you are, they won't come.
They won't. They won't. But it was the people that were other cartography companies were complaining about this. So what's gonna happen? So they said, all right, you're gonna have to pay 500,000 euros to this cartography company, this map company, and pay a 15,000 euro fine on top of that. Now,
that's just ludicrous.
This is a problem for everybody. This particular ruling is a problem for most people on the internet.
Uh-huh.
I have a little bit of skin in this game, of course, because I have an entire separate website that provides video training for free. Every minute, hours and hours, things that other companies sell for thousands of dollars, you can watch for absolutely free online because I can. Because it's free.
Right.
It's on YouTube. You can watch it. And there's advertising around it. It's a business. It allows us to have a podcast and have nice microphones and be able to keep the lights on and keep the website running and those types of things. So when I see stories like this of people who clearly don't understand the technology, have no idea how the internet works, have no perspective of competition and business models on the internet, this is a little bit concerning to me. I'm wanting to know more. Now, Google, of course, is going to take this and move it up to a higher court and say,
absolutely,
no, we have an appeal now. We're going to have you really look at this. But what an odd little story. And
I think so too.
Just a message to my friends in France. This is not good. Don't do this. What are you thinking? There's plenty of reasons here in the United States to love you. You are the cultural center of the universe. We love your wine. Your cheeses are awesome.
Yeah, don't go off the grid. We won't be able to get the cheese.
We have sat outside the Louvre in the gardens, drinking a nice beer, enjoying.
France was beautiful. I enjoyed our
Beautiful.
trip there. It was
So
very nice.
What are you doing? You're messing the whole thing up for me. So my recommendation to my friends in France is read up a little bit on this one. Give me a ring. Call me. I'll talk to you about
Straighten you out.
the whole thing. We'll get it figured out.
We could send the cockroaches over there.
Hey, are there Madagascar
Fix
hissing
them.
cockroaches in France? And if so,
Maybe not yet.
what would our names be in France for the hissing cockroaches?
Mine for sure would be Fifi.
Fifi. I would be Professor Cluzet. That's that story took a little bit of a dive, didn't it?
I
That
think
took
you're
a
going to
little-
hear more about this, though. We'll have to keep up with that because that's very interesting.
This one slid under the radar this week, and I wasn't sure why it slid under the radar because, well, it's not something that appeals to everybody. Maybe I do realize why. But for me, who's making live videos, where I'm making free videos, where I'm putting these things out for free, in the United States, I couldn't imagine someone who's selling these coming to me and saying, sorry, we're going
Right, you have to stop.
you've got to give us half a million dollars now because that's just wrong. You can't do that.
But it's just weird that they're bringing it up now.
It is. They sort of missed the point.
Right.
This has been out for a while.
For a long time.
Long time.
You know,
Been
it's like,
doing
what? There's a map of us out there on the internet?
It is true, as they say in the chat room, that it's these obsolete businesses that have no idea how the internet works, how suddenly somebody's shown up and is doing free things. And I've seen part of that with what we do. They don't know what to do. Oh, we'll sue. I guess that's what we'll do because you can't do that. And they found something relating to the anti-competitive laws in the country of France that work well for them. So it's just not a good thing at all. So on a much better note, speaking of free things and speaking of things that are provided to other people on the internet that might even have a connection back to the real world, I have this story. What a music video. Now, we don't do a lot of music videos. I don't do a lot of sound type culture or type things on the podcast. And this is one that probably is a little bit too mainstream for this podcast, quite honestly. But as a father, I found it delightful. Have you seen this, Dickon Schrader?
No.
Oh, good. This is perhaps the best video of the week for me, and for many reasons. So let's watch a little bit of this.
Corbin?
Hoy vas a presentar Everything Counts.
Okay, those are the
Everything
cutest
counts?
kids.
Sí.
Ok, ahí va.
Okay.
That is great. That's fantastic. I like how he's got the cheese grater going.
Oh, yeah.
And she's got the pink recorder.
This is just all good
What a great dad.
right here. Isn't it?
That's fun.
So he's got the bells going in his right hand.
I like the labels on the little xylophone.
So they're reading music. They can see the colors and the notes. Now wait for the chorus, which is really my favorite part.
That is fantastic. Oh, he's got the mic. He's ready to go.
So that's
That is phenomenal.
that's culture right there. Don't say on What a Week we don't bring you the best of
I'm
culture
glad that
on
really
the
was
internet.
a music video because when the French fry story came up, I really thought there was going to be French fries.
I'm so sorry. I will work on that today later though. Now
I found the cheese story for you.
there's no beer anywhere,
You can
so
find a French fry story for me.
this was the great story. Now he has other videos. Go to YouTube, search for Depeche Mode cover.
That's really great.
This gentleman's name again, Dickon Schrader. Schrader, which I'm probably completely. I'm not a Colombian. It's probably a very common Colombian name, but they don't speak English. But boy, they can
Colombian?
make music.
Oh, I
These
thought he was
kids.
German.
That's just awesome. That's just more awesome than I can imagine.
Those kids have it going on.
They are very, very talented. They're singing. You could
They're
see
very good in front of the camera.
the girl's playing her recorder and then hits the bells
Yeah.
with it, and then the little one's got the mic in his
he does.
face.
He's working it.
That's just awesome. Awesome. So that like I said, I don't normally show those on the What a Week podcast, but how can you not like that?
When we were little, we used to do little plays. We would have like the neighborhood theater.
So drama was your thing.
Yes, and my brother was like the director, and my 3 cousins would come over.
Quiet on the set.
And we'd have all kinds of puppets, and the parents would be there. And I had this light, and for some reason, like the shade was made of metal.
A metal light.
It was a metal lamp shade.
Okay.
And it was perfect if you wanted to have an effect, like a gong, like a clock. My brother would be over in the corner, and he would bang it. And sometimes, he'd miss his cue, so we'd be like, hit the light. Doing, doing.
Like the guy down in the orchestra pit. It's the gong. It's your cue.
But I think that's great. I think kids are creative, and just turn them loose in the kitchen and let them go.
And off they go. Our next story this week, What an Explorer. And we've done stories like this before. One of the things that fascinates me about the internet is our ability to take things that we've had in the past and make them available to as many people as possible, especially old documents. We've done some before, other stories where we've taken old books and digitized them so that other people can see them. This week is another one of those. This is one I found on Metafilter, and there is the final 3 diaries of Robert Falcon Scott have been scanned, transcribed, and narrated at the British Library. Quite remarkable, actually. Here's what it looks like. Now, Robert Falcon Scott is well known in the United Kingdom as an explorer. He is one of the people that did a ton of exploring down in Antarctica. He was really the second group of people to get to the South Pole. There was an enormous race, and I believe it was the Norwegians that won. And he was crushed by this. And he'd been there a number of times before. He was well decorated in the military. Unfortunately, his way back out of getting from the South Pole, getting back out of that was met with his demise. They did not make it out. So he ended up dying in Antarctica. So his final 3 diaries have now been put online. And what I find interesting of this is not only are these diaries available, we can zoom up on them. It's a really nice website in the way that it's done. But like many things that I run into when I'm looking at some of these old things, it's hard to see exactly what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand his writing. It's very difficult. So of course the folks at
Saturday, November 4, Camp 2. Lead March
there's
started in
audio.
what I think will now become the settled order. Atkinson went at 8, Ours at 10, Bowers, Oates and Co. at 11:15. Just after starting, picked up cheerful note and saw cheerful notices saying all
there
well
you
with
go.
motors.
You
Both
can't-
going excellent.
Now with that, you can actually follow along in the writing. At the very top, it was hard to see because our heads are on top of it in the view that people are watching online. But you're able now to read along with and look at exactly what he wrote down in his diaries during this time.
That's incredible.
He is a lot of the things that happened to him, a lot of the situations he was put in, had the historians through the years have been talking about whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. But overall, people recognize him for being an explorer and somebody who has a very significant impact on what has happened in the United Kingdom. So I found that really interesting. And they have other documents that they have scanned as well online. And if you simply go out to, I've got the full URL there, but if you just find the British Library and search for Robert Falcon Scott, this is from metafilter.com, and look for Encarta Resurrected. You'll find that as well. But an amazing piece of history. And I love what we're doing with these types of documents and making them available to everyone.
Well, it makes it real. It really brings it to life.
Right.
When you hear a voice reading it like that.
I never had this capability when I was in school. If I was assigned a report back in the day before the internet, we had encyclopedias. We'd open them up and there would be 3 pages on our topic. And that was it. That was your total source of knowledge you could ever know ever about that particular topic. If it wasn't something more mainstream, that was it. So now this is incredible. People can go out and find almost anything about anything now. And it's right there. And I love that they've taken it and taken so much care into finding a way to present it in a way you can view it and then add the voiceover to it as well. Just remarkable.
That's incredible.
Well, that brings us to the end of yet another What a Week podcast. You can always contact us. You visit our website at whataweekpodcast.com. I have links there that will now take you to iTunes if you'd like to subscribe. There's both a video version of our podcast and an audio version of our podcast. You can choose either one. There's also a generic RSS feed is there. If you're not an iTunes kind of person, that's okay. We got you covered there as well. You can also follow us on Twitter. Well, we announce when we're doing our live presentations of this. We've been doing it at about 11 o'clock Eastern time every Saturday. I'm not sure if that's going to stay that way, so keep up to date with what's going on by following us at What Week. And you could, of course, send me messages directly from James at whataweekpodcast.com. Boy, what a week it has been.
I'm really looking forward to next week when we get to eat a chocolate cockroach.
I'm sure it will be what everyone is waiting for. All right, we're going to go find some French fries, some beer, and some cheese now. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next time on What a Week.